Hi here, Philip there. Let's see how good Marvel is at UX and UI design. How did it get scratched?
Appears to be a standard sequence violation. Branch is growing at a stable rate and slope. Variant identified.
What does it remind me of? A powder mirror. What's the purpose of this thing? Why does she need this? She needs to be able to see clearly the distance between her and the subject. She needs to clearly see what the subject looks like. Then the graphic shows how much this timeline was fucked up by his actions. The graphic there is not super necessary. It's not the most important piece of information, unless I'm missing something, but it looks like it takes the majority of the screen. I'd imagine police officers constantly being on the move, and I'd be looking at it briefly and then trying to focus on the pursuit and avoiding the obstacles. What I would do is I would make the photograph take up the half of the screen, or actually more pictures from different angles would be nice. And the other half would be taken by this number that's decreasing, that I assume is the distance between the subject of interest and the police officer. Actually, it'd be nice to have a GPS in there instead of this graphic. Look at the size of your thumb, and now look at the size of these menu buttons. How on earth, especially when you're in a hurry and trying to catch a fugitive, so when you design for mobile, it's good to think that people have fat fingers. Usually if the icon is that small, you would leave a lot of space around it.
Hey! Absolutely not. This is fine Asgardian leather.
There is something super amazing about this thing. This is hilarious. And the thing, what makes this hilarious is this weird combination of cute, which is a little bit like also like a flawed sort of cute, which you completely don't associate with scary or threatening usually. There's also something to be said about clumsy and not perfect UI here. Why do we always think that UI has to be perfect and symmetrical and beautiful? That makes me think of one very curious thing. Is actually beauty and the symmetry is just one of the tools allowing you to achieve a certain effect, and sometimes you just don't need it. Sometimes you want it to look more human, and the reason it's more human because it's faulty, as humans are also not perfect.
Please sign to verify this is everything you've ever said. What? Sign this too.
I don't think the stack would be... Look how much space there is there. I don't think that stack would be that small. Also, look at this clock. That's amazing. The attention to details is amazing. Look, even there in the corner he has some form of a tiny screen with the UI on it that people spend time designing, and it's out of focus here. Ah, there, here it's not. I've never noticed that. This... So, do you see what this is? It's basically his tiny computer, and he's playing... What's this game called? He is playing Klondike. A game famous in the office workers community to pass time.
Just give it a shot. The branch is near the red line. We need to go.
Ah, okay. I was wrong. They do need to look at this graphic, because when the graphic approaches the red line, something bad happens, which I don't remember what. The one thing I know is this is definitely my grandmother's powder mirror. This line is clearly pixelated, and then some things aren't, and the reason for that has nothing to do with reality. Designers were going for this retro look here, hence the pixelated stuff, but they still wanted some small details, and they wanted it to make sense, because just having like chunks of pixels there would make no sense. It's quite cool how this series actually just doesn't bluntly replicate some retro style, but it actually creates its own version of retro, which is kind of what I was talking about in my previous video, where I talk about stealing design systems and the importance of not stealing them entirely, but rather creating derivative work.
What, like you did your mother?
So this is quite cool. Images assembling and deassembling on the screen like that were not just transition effects, but rather it's the way the screen is designed. It consists of these physical pixels, just basically a side effect of the way this technology was built. And the reason I thought it's important is that I've always believed that the form-following function was the true essence of design.
UI that's beautiful because of the way it functions and not just because. And in case of Loki, this just shows once again how crazy the creators of the series are about details. Maybe that's why I love it so much.
So there you go. I think to be inspired and keep thinking out of the box, sometimes it's just important to lift your eyes out of the laptop and look at the TV. Hope you enjoyed this amazing Loki UI and UX as much as I did, and let me know if you want me to review more of the Loki stuff in the other videos. Thank you all very much for watching, like it if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't, hit the bell if you haven't, don't forget to look up, and see you soon.